me now. Okay. So the first thing I wanted to start by talking about just very briefly is shortcut tips in general. Um, you'll all want to take a look at your keyboards to see what you have going on. Um, Obviously, PC and Mac keyboards are different, but they do have some things in common. In addition, if you have a laptop versus a full desktop computer, you may have a completely different keyboard layout. Laptops tend to be a little more compact. Desktops have, much wider keyboards with more buttons on them. So just take a brief look to see what you have going on. See if you can find on your keyboards. If you're on a PC, you want to find your control buttons. A lot of times there's one or two of those, typically on the left and right sides of your spacebar. You'll also want to locate your Alt key or keys, again, usually on the left and right sides of your spacebar. On Mac, you want to look for your Command key, and then that's the one with the little Apple symbol that looks like uh, it's hard to describe what that is. It looks like a clover kind of. And you'll also want to find your Option key. And in general, there's also going to be a top row of keys that are called the function keys. On many keyboards, these will do other things like make your screen more bright, less bright, turn your sound on and off, things of that nature. But what we're interested in is using them for actual functions. So in that case, they'll be labeled F1, F2, F3, etc., all the way up to F12. On many computers, you may not see those keys, or you may see really small writing for that. In that case, you might need to also press what's called a function key, sometimes labeled as Fn on your keyboard as well. I'm going to do something for all of us, and I invite you to try this. Both PC and Mac have this sort of thing. I don't remember where it is on Mac, but on a PC, we're going to type on screen keyboard, and I'm going to bring up this little app here. And what this enables us to do is see what I'm doing on my keyboard. So that way, when we talk about these keyboard shortcuts, you can see and you don't have to be puzzled as to what I'm doing exactly. So if you look on this on-screen keyboard, there's an Fn key that if I click that, it changes my row at the top to F1, F2, F3, etc. up to F12, as I was saying. If I do not use this Fn key, then I don't see those buttons. So again, you may or may not see the buttons labeled Fs, but either way, if you have an Fn key, you'll be able to use those. So just wanted to get that out there. Okay, so I'm going to leave the on-screen keyboard up. Hopefully it doesn't get in the way too much, and we'll see what I'm doing as we go through. All right, let's move it down a little. So the first thing I wanted to tell you is that keyboard shortcuts are everywhere in Wordfast Pro, and if you're not using them or barely using them, you're probably not being your most effective using the software. One way to find shortcuts, and it's not the most effective way, is to get tooltips. And tooltips are usually those little bubbles that pop up when you're going over a command. So for example, uh, I went over create project, and well, actually I must have been too close to the other one, but you get the idea. It says close project, closes the selected project, and then right underneath it, it says control plus shift plus X. So the tooltip itself will tell you what's supposed to be happening in terms of the keyboard shortcut. So you can use those. I wouldn't recommend them though, because they're you have to go looking for them in order to get what you need there. Again, if you go over top of a shortcut, you should see it. If you don't, you can not a shortcut, sorry, a button. If you don't see the tooltip, you can click on it, and that will also give you the tooltip. Now, that's not the best way to do it, as I've already said. So what I'm going to do is show you where to go. We're going to click on this button on the left here that looks like, some sliders that we would adjust for settings. That's our preferences in Wordfast Pro, so we'll go there. Okay, and if you look on the left side under General Preferences, there will be a spot called Shortcuts. So we'll click on that. And what's great about this is it's going to give us the full list of commands that can have shortcuts in Wordfast Pro. And I say can have shortcuts because they don't necessarily have a shortcut yet. That might be up to you to assign one, but we'll get to that later. So if you look at the list here, it's right in the middle of the screen. If you want to know what something does, or what the shortcut is for something, I should say, you can look under the shortcut column. If you don't know where to look and you're trying to figure out what a shortcut is for something, you can click on the search bar and this will filter everything. So let's say you wanted to create a project. Let's type create. Okay, so we have create block list, create glossary, here's create project. It says I can use Control plus P. Now, if you're running on a Mac and you do the same thing I'm doing, you should be seeing Mac shortcuts here as opposed to PC shortcuts. Okay, so it says I can use Control P to create a project. So I'm going to exit out for just a second. And I'm going to bring up my on-screen keyboard. All right. So let's press Control and P. So there's my P, and we'll see what happens. Sometimes on-screen keyboard doesn't activate the program behind it the first time you try it. So if nothing happens, I may have to click on Wordfast and come back and try again. So we'll see. Okay, all right, we'll try one more time. I'm clicking on the Wordfast background and we'll do Control and P. There it goes. All right. So what that did was it opened the create project box. So that would be the shortcut for that, Control P, if you want to get started. Okay. Now you don't want to use shortcuts for any old thing. I recommend them for things you do over and over and over again. So if you create a lot of projects, that could be a helpful shortcut for you. Okay, let's go back here into the settings again. And I want to show you something before we get too involved. This is super important. You can change shortcuts and you can add shortcuts. But one thing very mysterious about Wordfast Pro that's missing is there's no way to set the shortcuts back to their defaults. So if you start changing things and you don't like what happened, there's not an easy way to put these back. So what I'm going to recommend to you is on the left side, we're going to scroll all the way to the bottom, and it says User Preferences, Advanced Settings. We'll click on Advanced Settings, and then here you can actually export settings that you currently have. So this way, if you change a bunch of things and you want to fix what you changed later, you can re-import settings that you exported to put it back. So I'm going to click on Export right here. Okay. And before I do anything, I'm going to select this little checkbox at the top left, Preferences Settings. And what this is going to do is it's going to take all the settings that I currently have in Wordfast Pro, so that way I don't ruin anything, and I'm going to export those out. So I'll click Browse. I'm going to choose Desktop, and I'm going to name this Wordfast Pro Settings and Default. Well, not default. I'll call it My Settings because I've changed them. So My Settings. So that way I know what that is. And we'll click Save. Okay. And then once you have that in place, you have to click Export to finish it up. And let's look at my desktop. You'll see right here I have Wordfast Pro My Settings. So that's going to be my file. All right. Then secondly, I'm going to do another thing. So I exported all of my settings, but I'm also going to do a second export to show you a way to export specific types of settings. So I'll click Export, and then I'm going to scroll down until I find Shortcuts. Here we go. Shortcuts. Okay. And then I'm going to change the name of this. Instead of Wordfast Pro My Settings, I'm going to say Wordfast Pro My Settings Shortcuts, because it's only saving my current shortcuts, nothing else. And I'm going to save that to my desktop and export. Okay, again, why did I do that? I wanted to make sure that before I start playing around, changing shortcuts, adding shortcuts, and what have you, that I can put them back if I don't like what I did, because there's no button under shortcuts to reset. So I just wanted you to know that that's an important thing to do. Okay, so now let's go back to create project for just a second. I'm going to type create project. And let's say that Control P, that's not working for me. So I don't want to use that. I really don't like that shortcut. If I click on that line, Control P turns kind of a different color than the selected line. It's sort of a grayish, whitish color. If I now press some buttons on my keyboard, let's say I want to do, we'll try Control, Alt, and L. Okay. So having done that, by pressing Control Alt L, you'll see now that Create Project says that I can press Control Alt L, and that should now open a new project. So let's try it out. I have to click OK to accept this. I'm going to bring my keyboard back up. Okay, we're going to press Control, then Alt, and then L, and there it is. So that's the same thing that Control P was doing before. Again, you need to be careful, because there are a couple things that can go wrong if you start changing shortcuts. One of them is there may be a shortcut that's already assigned to a different command in Wordfast Pro. So perhaps Control Alt L might do something else, and if we just assigned it to project creation, it's possible that that might not work anymore. The second thing is, on your computer system, there may be a conflict with a shortcut that your Windows or Apple operating system uses. So if you know, for example, that when you press a certain button, let's just make one up. If I press Control plus Shift plus S, and that's supposed to open search for a file in my operating system, it may be that if I assign that to Wordfast, that either the operating system shortcut won't work anymore, or the Wordfast one won't work. So you have to keep those in mind. I'm going to go back in one more time and show you something. We can see at the top that add block list is Alt plus C. So I'm going to purposely go back to create project, and I'm going to try to assign it Alt plus C, and let's see what happens. Okay, so when I tried to press Alt plus C, it says this binding is already in use by another action. Applying this binding to the special action will remove the binding from the previous action. So if I assign Alt plus C here, it's going to take it away from add block list. So it's giving me this warning to let me know that there's a conflict. So I'm going to say no, I don't want to do that. I'm going to put it back the way it was, which was Control P. Okay, and then remember, you have to click OK for these to stick. All right. So just to go back over that really quick, you're going to use very typically Control Shift Alt on a PC. On a Mac, it's very frequently Command, Option, sometimes Shift, and the weird control button are involved as well. But you may also have these F buttons up at the top. So I told you about the F buttons because I want to show you something. On most computers, well, I should say going way back in time, if you press the F1 key, it would bring up help to show you, the help for the current program or the operating system or any of that stuff. So let me go down to Windows for just a second. I'm going to press F1 and see what happens here. So I pressed F1 and it says how to get help in Windows 11. So you see it's a default operating system shortcut. But that one used to be designed where it wouldn't conflict if you did it inside of a program. Wordfast, unfortunately, I think does not use F1. So I'm pressing F1 currently. Let me do it on here so you can see. So if I press F1 in Wordfast, it doesn't do anything. Okay. So let's say as an old school user, I want F1 to show me Wordfast help. I'm going to go here, type in help. So Wordfast apparently has assigned Control plus Alt plus H to open the help. So I could certainly do that. But let's say, hey, I want this to be my shortcut. I'm going to click on help and I'm going to press F1 to change it. Okay, and let's click OK. All right. And I'll bring up my on-screen keyboard. I'm going to press my function key and then F1. And there we go. So it opened the Wordfast help. All right. So again, the default was Control plus Alt plus H. I changed it to F1 because I felt like it. I'm going to come back to the Wordfast Pro Online Help in just a second because I'm going to use that to show you some interesting information. But first, let me return one more time here. By the way, the shortcut to get into the preferences, if you don't know this one, is F9. So I'm going to press right here, F function, F9, and that opens my preferences so I don't have to keep going all the way to the left to click on it. All right, the last thing I wanted to show you here is underneath shortcut, you may see choose binding. If you see choose binding, it means there's no current shortcut for that item. So if you've always wanted a shortcut for a specific command and you don't see it, you can add your own. So for example, let's say that I wanted to be able to clear all the tags in the document. And here it says choose binding. I can simply click on the line as we did before and put whatever shortcut I want. So let's try, I'm going to do Control Alt 0. Okay, it looks like that worked. So in theory, I've just assigned Control plus Alt plus 0 to something that didn't have a binding before. If you want to find all the commands that don't have one, you can type choose. Well, you don't even have to finish typing binding, but you'll see now in the shortcut column, there's all the commands that are available in Wordfast that you can assign a shortcut to. So just keep that in mind if you want to look for those. The second thing you can do in the search is you can search for certain buttons. If you want to know what shortcuts use plus P, so I typed in plus P. Apparently there's an Alt plus Shift plus P. There's a Control plus P. There's a Control plus Alt plus P. So you'll see those are all the ones that involve the letter P as a button, but also starting with P page down. Okay, now let me go back to Wordfast Online Help really quick. You can go to two places here. You can either click Online Help, which keeps you on web pages, or you can click the user guide. They're kind of similar, but I like the user guide because it opens a PDF file that you can save. So I'm going to click Wordfast Pro User Guide 9.12.0. All right. Let me go back to the top here really quick. So you can see this is the full user guide for the program. And if you go towards the end, one of the items that's in here is keyboard shortcuts. So I'm just sort of scrolling through, as you can see that it has all the different stuff in here. Okay, here we go, keyboard shortcuts. And what's nice about the user guide is that there are also Macintosh shortcuts listed in here. So if you want to see that for your Mac, you can go ahead and check that out. Now, there's something a little strange here, and this is sort of legacy. You'll see PC scheme Wordfast Pro, PC scheme Wordfast Classic, SDLX, Trados. So what those are supposed to be for is if somebody were used to using one of those other programs and they wanted to keep using the shortcuts they used to use on those other programs, they can switch and use that if they want. The defaults are, if you're using a PC, it will be Wordfast Pro style, and if you're using a Mac, it'll be also Wordfast Pro style. So let me just click on PC. And here you see is a full list of the shortcuts without having to go into Wordfast. So if you want to just scroll through that, you have a full list here, and you can also search inside of here as well. So if I wanted to look for create project again, oh, fun. Okay, let's see here. There's a whole bunch of create projects, but oddly, it seems like it's not listed in the shortcuts. So we could call that undocumented. Very interesting. Let me go back to shortcuts here. All right. In any case, as I was saying, you can scroll through and you can see the full list of all the shortcuts that are available. There may or may not be some that are documented, and I was going to mention that in just a second anyway, so that'll be interesting to note. Whether or not you're in Wordfast Pro, I'll come back for just a second, or you're looking in the user guide, Do you notice on the right there's a column that says View, and then it says Editor, Home. Let me clear this out so we can see more. Block List Editor, Quick Tools. What that's telling you is that's where you're allowed to use that shortcut. So again, when I was doing Create Project, it says I can use it in the home view. So that means when you're in the view where the house is activated on the left side, that's when you can use Control P. So if I'm inside the preferences and I press Control P, it won't do anything because this is not part of where it works. So the view also tells you where you can use the shortcut. By the way, up at the top, it says Wordfast Pro Style. This is those schemes I was talking about. So if you wanted to try one of the other ones, you could. So if I switched to Wordfast Classic Style, if I were an old school Classic user, the shortcuts should align more with what Classic used to use, or Travis user or whatever. But we're gonna stay here. Click OK. All right. So let's take a look at some interesting shortcuts. We've talked a little bit how to look for all the shortcuts, how to add shortcuts that don't exist, how to change shortcuts we don't like. What about just some interesting stuff? There is actually a feature called Key Assist panel. So if you press Control plus Shift, let me make sure that Wordfast is active, plus L, it pops up what's called the Key Assist panel in Wordfast Pro. And what it will do is give you a short list of shortcuts that might be interesting to you in the current view that you're in. So here it's suggesting a number of different things I can do. And then when you're done looking at it, you can just click away from it and it disappears. Let me go to a different view. So right now I'm in the project list view. I'm going to go to Quick Tools because I want to show you something there. All right, so within Quick Tools, I'm going to do the same shortcut, Control plus Shift plus L. Okay, and I want you to notice now that the short list is a little bit different. Remove TM, add project TMs, create a glossary, analyze. So you see these are more related to what's going on inside of this panel right now. Okay, so that's Key Assist. Another one that's interesting, let me bring my keyboard back up, is you could do something called Next View. So if you press and hold the Alt key and then press the W key, I'm actually covering it. Let me move this down a little bit. I'll try again. Okay, so bringing up this thing in the back, I'm holding down the W key, and that means that it's cycling. But on your own keyboard, if you hold the Alt key and you keep pressing W repeatedly, what it will do is cycle through current views that are available, and you can change views like that. So Alt plus W will allow you to essentially, if you look on the left side of the screen, you can cycle between project list view, project file view, the editor, and Quick Tools just by pressing Alt W. So that's a very interesting one. Another type of shortcut you can do that I wanted to share, let me open a project really quick. I'm going to go into the editor. And you may or may not be aware of this, but you can type special characters with shortcuts as well. Okay, I'm going to go into line 3 here. So let's say that I wanted to type an ellipsis. If I go into the shortcut list and I type ellipsis, it says I can press Control plus Alt plus a period, and apparently that's going to give me an ellipsis. So let's see if this works. Okay, we're going to go Control plus Alt and then hit the period. There we go. So now I have an ellipsis in my target segment. So there are a few special characters like that you can find in the keyboard shortcuts list, but there are some other ones that you cannot. One thing you can do is if you want to type an accented character, but you just need to do it occasionally and you don't want to install like a non-US English keyboard, you can do something like this. You can press Control and then you can hit the comma key. And after you do that, if you press a vowel, you will get an accented character. So watch this. I'm going to turn this off for just a second. So I'm going to do control plus, sorry, not comma, apostrophe. Control plus apostrophe, and then I'm going to press A. So then I got an A with a, in French, the aigu character above it. Okay, so that's something you could do. You can also, if I wanted to do the Enye character for Spanish, that one's pretty complex, but you see how there's a button that has a tilde on it? Okay, so if I want to use the tilde, I have to press the shift key in order to get to it. But if I press control plus shift plus the tilde, and then I press the N button, that gives me an Enye character. So those shortcuts are ones that you can use inside of Microsoft Office products, but you can also do them here inside of Wordfast Editor. So that's a cool thing that you can do that is not really documented. Okay, last couple of things, and then we can take some questions. I wanted to show you that there are some interesting commands that don't have, what do you call it, shortcuts assigned to them, but you might want to use them. So, for example, I'm sure some of you have used the live preview before. So this is when a preview of the document that you're working on appears inside of WordFast Pro while you're working. So right now it's highlighting, unlike old school user guides, blah, 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 that's in English. So if I put my translation is here, okay, and then I move to the next line, okay, so you'll see that my translation is here, now appears back over here. And the reason it's not highlighted is because it highlights the current segment that you're in, and now I'm in line 4 here where it has inserted machine translation for me. But the point is, sometimes what happens is the preview will stop tracking what you're doing in the actual editor. And I think it's because it occasionally gets overloaded or something else is going on. There's a button in here called Sync Preview. If you click on that button, what it does is it reloads the preview of the document that you're working on so that it matches what you see in the editor. And you don't need to do that frequently, but every once in a while you need to do that. So if you don't want to click that, Sync Preview does not have a shortcut button. So what you can do is you can go over into the shortcuts list, and let's type sync. So Sync Preview does not have a shortcut. I can assign it a shortcut here, and so that way while I'm working, if I want, I can press the shortcut instead of, let's say that I'm just typing over here, blah, 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 and I want to sync the preview while I'm doing that. I could press the shortcut to do it instead of coming all the way over here to do it. Okay, so when you sync the preview, it reloads, and notice that because I clicked Sync Preview, you can now see the garbage that I was typing up here in the thing, because it doesn't do it real time. It usually syncs every time you move along. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But I just wanted to tell you that there's some interesting shortcuts like that you can assign shortcuts to, not shortcuts, commands that you can assign shortcuts to. So another one I'm going to tell you that I think you'll want to use is Wordfast Pro is supposed to have a shortcut for clearing your target out. So if you go, let's see up here, let me turn the preview off for just a second so we can see everything. Clear target. So if I click clear target, there's a button up here that says clear target, and if I click on that, line 4's target segment will go away. That's supposed to have a shortcut. In fact, if you look in your shortcut list in the manual, give it just 1 second here. Okay, it says clear target segment, and it's listing Control plus Alt plus X. And in recent versions, for some reason, if you go look in the shortcut list, clear target segment, the binding's missing, it's not there. So what I would suggest to you is that you come in here and set a shortcut for that. I'm going to put the shortcut back, Control plus Alt plus X. Click OK. All right, so now when I'm in my target segment, I can press Control plus Alt plus X. I'm not sure what happened there. Oh, there we go. It's hiding a message. Are you sure you want to remove the content from the target? Yes, I do. So we'll do that, and it's gone. So, okay. I think that's enough of that. The only other thing I wanted to show you to finish, and we're ready for questions, is there's a really cool undocumented set of shortcuts. On the left side, you have this way to switch views. See when I clicked on the house, it says project list Control plus 2. Let me click the next one, the folder. Current project Control plus 3. Editor Control plus 4. Quick Tools Control plus 5. Those aren't documented, but they're available, and it's interesting. So if you press, again, Control plus 1, it should go back to the house. Oops, actually not 1. I forgot 1 actually applies to the Wordfast icon up at the top that gives you information about the program. So it's Control plus 2, and I will end with that. So let's go Control plus 2, and we're back to our home. Okay, so I hope that you found that enlightening. Again, if you do a bunch of changes and you want to put things back the way they were because you don't like what you did, you can simply go back to settings, go down to advanced settings. You can hit import, and then I changed some of my shortcuts. So I'll go back to my desktop and pick my settings shortcuts. I'll open that, click import, and OK. And having done that, I just undid all of the shortcut changes that I made. I'm not saying that you need to do that, but it's good to have that as a backup. And you can export your shortcuts or any of your settings anytime you want and re-import to fix them anytime you want. So just wanted to end with that. Are there any questions, Karina, that we can answer for people?
Yeah. Well, Jamie, thank you very much. That was very, very useful. Thank you. I will allow the mic. So you, Nelly, that I saw that you write a question, you can go ahead and ask Jamie your question. I will also allow the camera if we can see each other.
Um,
Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me? Hi.
Yes.
I have a question. This sounds old school, but going back to WordFast Pro 3 on a Mac, um, I was looking on the web for a list of shortcuts and I couldn't find anything. Is there anything that you have? But I do notice that if you hit F F plus 9, it does take you to preferences.
Yes, from what I can recall, I don't know for sure be able to find a definitive list for WordPress Pro 3 online. You probably can if you look hard enough, but many of the shortcuts from 3 got ported to 5 plus. So if you were to look at that list from the help that I was showing you, I would bet that a good number of those would still work in WordPress Pro 3.
Okay, I'll check into that. Thank you.
Mhm. Yep.
Hello, hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Hello.
Hello,
Hello.
I'm so happy to be here, and it's first time to contact with you. This great opportunity to be here. My question regarding to accessibility because I appreciate this session because I'm total blind. Find some difficulties to use WordFast Pro 6 with the screen reader. I would like to, if that possible, if we can make a session or we can make an session for this point because I think accessibility for blind or visually impaired translator and interpreters is very important, and I hope we can develop or create let example create version or develop accessibility in the WordFast because it's very important because I think WordFast is one of the greatest software for interpreters and translator in specifically for me. I love it. It's very, I tried the WordFast Pro 3, but when I'm go for Pro 5 and Pro 6, I find all the big difficulties is to use it with the screen reader. This very important point. I'd like to fix it with you. Is that possible?
Okay, we want to thank you very much for that feedback. And I think that we can certainly work towards
Mm.
maybe producing another webinar on accessibility, which I think this webinar is the beginnings of that because shortcuts are very helpful in that regard. But screen reading is a whole other thing. Um, so yeah, if you want to hang out just a bit, maybe we could share some information and see what we can do to further that in WordPress
Yes,
Pro.
yes, please send me an email to, I will leave my email here if you can contact me.
Okay, I will spell my email. I will spell you my email because
Okay,
I'm working now. Whiskey Alpha,
okay,
Whiskey Alpha, Echo Lima, Hotel Alpha, Double Sierra Alpha November 388 at gmail.com.
okay, okay. I'll take note of that. Thank
Okay,
you.
that's because I think I think the accessibility is very important because
Okay.
I love it. One of the first program I tried to use it, Wordfast Pro 3. I love it so much, but I do not find PDF or any accessible documents to guide me how to use Word fast. But some I try to contact with visual assistants to help me to use it, but
Mm.
still I want to develop or work with you as a team or um, anything to develop and help the blind and translators over the world. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. Thank you. So, Idris or Elham, who else wants to speak?
Oh, hello. Thank you very much for the explanation of all the
Mm.
shortcuts. I was wondering, is there a shortcut to copy all the tags from the source to the target segment?
Yes, I believe so. Let's take a look here. What I'm going to do is just go into the shortcut list. And this is what I was telling you could do, which is kind of interesting. So I'm going to write copy and see what comes up. Copy all tags document. So I think that's what you're looking to do. So what this one's going to do is it will copy all the tags from all the source segments to all the target segments, and it says we
Okay.
can press Alt Shift P to do that. Now, I have to warn you, if you're going to do that, it may want to overwrite text you already have in the target. So if you're going to try that shortcut, try it on a blank document first, just to see how that works, and then maybe
Mm.
type a couple of false. Let me just see. Alt Shift P.
Okay.
I'm going to open mine up really quick and just see what happens because I don't remember if it overwrites. So I have some text in. I need one with tags. Let's do line
Yeah,
2.
yeah.
Hello there. Okay, so we're going to press Alt plus Shift plus
Oh,
P. I think is what it was. Okay. No, it didn't overwrite, so that's good. What it did was it places the tags after the text. So just be it known, if you have text in there already, it will place the tags after the text. But if you have nothing written yet, it just places them. So you see all the way down the document now, the tags are in there already. So there you
so
go.
I copy all the tags and then I type in the translation between the tags?
Yeah, that's basically what would happen. It's not going to be able to know where the tags are supposed to go in your translation because they move
Mm,
around. So
mm. Thank you very much. Thank you.
you're welcome.
So, Idra or Laura, who is next? Idris, Hamza. Uh,
I
Idris, we
can't hear.
cannot hear you. Okay, now. We cannot hear you. Uh, you have to allow your mic, Idris. Let me check.
Hello, I'm sorry for interruption, but actually I have a question. My
Yes.
question is where I can find the record of the session.
We are going to post it on our YouTube channel in a couple of days.
Okay,
And I
okay,
will send you also by email the link.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Thank you. So let
Looks
me
like we have
check.
Laura on camera. Does Laura want to ask her question?
No, she think
Okay.
Laura, I send to all. I'm sending my email, so just in case. Well, I see no more questions.
I
We
see
have no more.
three hands raised
Uh,
up.
Let me check. Jeanette. Jeanette. She said, I don't know if you have mentioned the use of automatic translation before, using the shortcut, you mean? That is the question of Jeanette.
Well, let me come back just for a second here. If we're talking about machine translation, um, usually when you set it up, it's going to go automatically, but there is a button for machine translation. So if you go into a segment and you want the machine translation in the segment, you can click on that, and the shortcut is Control plus Shift plus M. Um, so that's one thing that's related. But generally, if you want machine translation, you're just going to set that up in your settings under machine translation, and then whatever service you want to connect, you can turn that on. I'm just using the free world lingo that's available in Wordfast Pro, so I turn that on and it pops up automatically. But yeah.
Okay, and then Belen, she's asking, is there any way to select several segments at once?
There is not currently a way to do that in WordFast Pro, as far as I understand. So I think what you're getting at is you might want to select 4, 6, and 8 at the same time. However, one thing you can do, and this is not really related to shortcuts, but you can instead, if you can find something in common between those segments, you can filter them. So, for example, if I'm looking to do all the segments that contain the word translation, I can type it up here and hit my enter key. And when I do that, you see translation is appearing here. So if there's some specific reason that you want to see or want to select certain segments, if you filter them, then you can do that. Sometimes what people want are things like, I want to see filters, segments with tags, for example. So we have a special filter for that here, segments with tags. I'll do that and click search. So now I have all the segments with tags. It's essentially the same as selecting them, but yeah, there's not a way to just select exactly the segments you want.
Okay.
And I would like to ask too, I mean, if we take further questions, it's not a big deal to do questions on other topics, but I just want to make sure we answer all of the shortcut related questions if people
Mm-hmm.
have those questions. Karina, I see that we have two hands raised still. Do we need to address that?
Yeah, it's I think Elham, did you already talk?
I've already asked my question. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
And well, I think yes, yes. Let
Okay.
me check if we have more questions in the chat box. Uh, no, we don't have more questions, so we can close if you feel like.
Okay.
Just,
So
Mm,
just want to say thank you very much for this. It's very helpful and it will save us so much time. Thank you.
you're very
thank you,
welcome.
you. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Hope to see you next month.